breaks your heart, I know. We fall apart, but it's all a part of a story. For real, kind of feel ideal. I got to get by without you. Keep it together, we're no longer forever. But it's not a waste, I love you forever. I'll get by. You know how I feel. It's okay, it's alright. Your memories are real. You'll be fine. You know how I feel. I'll get by. You know how I feel. try deep inside to find you, breathing for the life I once tried to find, 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 once tried to find. Breathing underwater isn't hard. I try deep inside to find you, breathing for the life I once tried to find, 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 once tried to find.
force that surrounds my body and a sound that clears my mind. Right then and there, all my worries becomes this thing of my past. I no longer feel pain, despair, or indifference. here so long, you're really starting to get down. So much you wanted to hide yourself from being found. Crouch down on the desert floor with your ears plastered to the ground. You're used to being all by yourself and safe and sound. The sun is gonna rise. You thought you were gonna die before blood orange sky. So sick of moving your body to a well-polished life. Well, I got something to move you, move you right. Always scars, and let your darkness disappear beneath the stars. Follow the hollow inside you, deciding who you are. The sky is near and familiar, we're not too far. So long, you're really starting to get down. So much you wanted to hide yourself from being found. Crouch down on the desert floor with your ears plastered to the ground. You're used to being all by yourself and safe and sound.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Herman Grobler, and it's my honor to facilitate the proceedings here today. Thank you for taking the time to come out to Galicia this afternoon. A few special welcomes. The Acting Consul General at the U.S.Consulate, Mr. Will Stevens. To the Western Cape Premier, Mr. Alan Wendy. To the USAID Deputy Mission Director, Lisa Baldwin. Thank you for joining us. To the Director of the Khayelitsha Eastern Sub-District, Mr. James Kruger. To the Managing Director of Coca-Cola Penbev, Andre Kluter. And to the CEO of CIPLA South Africa and the Saga region and the CIPLA Foundation Trustee, Mr. Paul Miller. To all our other guests here today in person and the guests on the other side of the virtual line, thank you very much for joining us today. And also a special welcome to the media that has joined us today. With all protocols observed, and some of the speakers can elect to step over those protocols, they're more than welcome to do so. Welcome to this event today. Without any further ado, I will start with announcing some of our speakers. And the first speaker to the front is Mr. James Kruger. He is the Director of the Khayelitsha Eastern Sub-District, and thank you for hosting us here today.
So Premier, I've got an easy job, so mine is to welcome everybody. So firstly, I want to welcome you to Khayelitsha Eastern Substructure. That's what it's called because it's a substructure of the metro, quite one of the biggest ones. So maybe just in terms of protocol, I want to do this, even though he's done it. Maybe just thank USAID. I've had a long-standing, as you know, partnership with the USAID. A fabulous partnership, which I'm hoping will extend in future. And I'm sure they've shown you some of the remarkable projects that we're busy with. And I'll get to CIPLA now. The second one, obviously, I have to recognize the Consul. So thanks for being here. We appreciate the work that your country and your agencies are doing with us, making a remarkable difference in people's lives. And then, of course, our Premier. Our Premier has been remarkable. I've had the luck of working with him. I've worked with two premiers, Mrs. Yalan Zille, and I've worked with this premier, Mr. Alan Wendy, and he's been remarkable in that he's always open to new ideas, always open to new projects, always open to collaborate, and he's just a great leader. So I want to recognize him as an administrator in this space, and I'm hoping he'll come for his second vaccination to Khayelitsha Eastern. But we'll talk about that at another time. But really great that you're here, Premier. And then I just quickly wanted to talk about the CIPLA containers. So we have 3 in our space. We have one at Khayelitsha Hospital, as you know, the one in front. We've got one at Site B, which is about 5 kilometers onwards, north of where we now. And then we've got another one, why can't I remember now where the other one is? East River Hospital. And they've done, currently we, obviously because of how they were equipped, we only received them the latter part of the last month or so, 2 months. And so obviously we've set up site, and they've done just over 2,000. So they've close to done about 2,500 probably if we look at the stats. So they're amazing. So that's the point I want to make. They're amazing because they allow us, when we do vaccination, which all of you know, we have a big vaccination drive. It's an extension of the work that we do. So again, I think it's important that we thank our collaborators, CIPLA in particular, and USAID in this great opportunity. It provides us an extension, as I said, and it also provides us a way of providing a service beyond our health facilities. And for the rest of the people who are here, great initiative, should be supported. I'm hoping there'll be more collaborations. I'm not mentioning all the names that I see behind me, but I see there are other collaborators as well. These are some of the things that we should do to change the lives of these people. And these are poor, working class communities that have limited access, and we are creating access, and that's our job. And we're also making the patient experience a little bit better, because that's actually what it's about. You don't want them to stand in long queues. Vaccinations have been around for ages, and so it should be an easy, seamless process. And that's what we as partners are trying to create. Enjoy the event. Thanks again for the Premier to be here, and thanks for the collaboration. And of course, sorry, I forgot to thank the host, our CEO, Mr. Binza. Thanks for hosting us at Khayelitsha Hospital. As you can see, a building of excellence. If you look at this hospital, you can put it anywhere in the world, and it will serve as a benchmark. And so that's what we're trying to create. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the event.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Mr. Benza, for hosting us here today, and also for the 3 VACSTATIONs, which is in your sub-district. Much appreciated for that. And also for allowing us to do the first trial here. I think the first unit we laid down was outside here, and the trial had moved 3 times from this side of the bridge to that side of the bridge, but now it's on the right side of the bridge, and we all love it where it is. So thank you very much for allowing us in your space. It gives me an honor to announce the acting U.S. Consul General, Mr. Will Stevens.
Hi, I hope I don't, is that all right if I take my mask off? I already did. So. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and join in this event. I'm so proud to be here with our good friends, with Premier Winde and Paul Miller and James Kruger, who it almost feels like he's part of the USAID mission. We've done so much together. Mr. Benza and Andre from Coca-Cola. I always love doing things with Coca-Cola, because it feels like we're tag teaming America on an event. But Khayelitsha Hospital feels like a second home for us. We have so many joint projects here. We have just around the corner the e-lockers where people can come and get their medications in the HIV/AIDS response. We have the new VACSTATIONs. We are supporting the Tutulezi Center, Care Center for Women. So it is truly an amazing place to be, and I'm proud that we could showcase this innovative response to COVID, a pandemic that has shaken all of our lives. It is a global challenge that requires a global response. That's why the United States, under President Biden's leadership, is committed to building a coordinated multilateral global response to the pandemic. And today's event is a clear sign of the U.S. commitment to extending that response to the people and government of South Africa. From donating ventilators to PPE in the early days of the pandemic, and remember we did an event together back in, was it May of 2020? Seems like we thought it was going to be over. It's still going. To today's effort, we have stood arm in arm with the people and government of South Africa. And in fact, you probably read the news over the weekend that the first 2.8 million doses of COVID vaccine donated by the United States arrived on Saturday here in South Africa. That is the first half of 5.6 million doses that the people of the United States are donating to the people of South Africa. We expect the other 2.8 million to arrive tomorrow, and those will be fully integrated into the South African vaccine response. Pretty cool. And I hope and I expect that many of those vaccines will make their way right here to Khayelitsha. And we'll save lives here in the Western Cape, here in Cape Town, and in Khayelitsha. And coupled with the vaccines, USAID just announced an additional $6 million to help with the COVID response and to help get more nurses and doctors ready to administer the vaccine throughout the country here in South Africa and support projects like this mobile vaccine stations today. So as we do more and more, I just want to underscore that we're here to stand together and fight this pandemic. Just as the U.S. government stood together in supporting the people of the Western Cape in combating tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS for over 15 years. We are South Africa's premier health partner, and we're proud of it. It is something that binds our two nations together, and it makes both of our nations healthier. So one more thing I just need to mention is the vaccine efforts. Together with the United States, we have helped run trials on the vaccines here in the Western Cape. We are now supporting vaccine production. Just 2 weeks ago, you may have seen Pfizer announced that they're going to be producing tens of millions of vaccines right here in Cape Town through BioVac. And that is an amazing commitment by a world-class U.S. company investing in the infrastructure here in the Western Cape. So just like the U.S. government, our companies like Coca-Cola, Pfizer, and many, many others are committed to building a healthier and more prosperous future for the people of the Western Cape and South Africa. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the Premier. Thanks.
Thank you, Will, for you and your team, Lisa and Joe, here today. It's amazing to have such a good working relationship with all of you, not just from a CIPLA Foundation point of view, but all the other corporates that's here today as well. We appreciate you immensely, and thank you for all the energy and the love and care you bring to us. Second online is the MD of Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages, Mr. Andre Kluter.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Khayelitsha team, CEO, Mr. Kruger, Premier Windy, our valued partners, it's really a privilege to be here this afternoon. I think if we take a moment and just reflect why we're here, we could easily say it's the vaccine stations, which is very important. But if you reflect on it, why we're really here, I like to believe we're here because we care. And we care deeply. And what makes it more special is that we have partners here that willingly wants to commit. No one's been forced to do anything. Because we care for our communities. As Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages, we've been operating in these communities for more than 80 years, 80. We employ many of the people from the communities. They're part of our team. And we have a simple but very endearing purpose, and that is to refresh and uplift our communities, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness, creating value and making a difference that matters. And when we joined in partnership with our valued partners here, there was nothing that we would want to do more than be part of something that's not just for today, but as you'll see when you look at the vaccine stations, they've been purposed for something beyond COVID, which is absolute genius. And when I just think about why we're here, one of my favorite quotes is from our much-loved Archbishop Desmond Tutu here from Cape Town. And he said, do your little bit of good where you are, because together those little bits of good will overwhelm the world. And that is exactly, I think, a little bit of good that we all do here today. In conclusion, I just want to recognize and appreciate and celebrate the following. As PenBev, we recognize and appreciate the partners here, and we celebrate your willingness to work together in delivering this and fight this COVID pandemic in every way that we can. Premier Windy, thank you to you and your team. I love listening to you when I drive home with the updates. I think awareness is really important in getting the message over to people, not just to know what's going on, but really to commit to doing the little goods that we can. It encouraged me at work when I see normal families, hardworking, helping others that are struggling every day through this COVID, whether it's just the meal or providing a vaccine station. Secondly, I want to recognize and appreciate and celebrate the creative skill and ideas. I had the privilege to look at this vaccine station, and as I alluded to earlier, it has just been designed perfectly, but just not with COVID in mind alone, but also to be used in the future to serve the needs of our communities. So well done. I applaud those that turned a need into an actionable outcome. Thank you very much. We also recognize and appreciate and celebrate the willingness of the medical personnel, the vaccinators, the administrators. I had my jab a few weeks ago, and it was one of the most pleasant experiences that I had, simply because from when you walk in there to when you walk out, you feel that people are caring for you. There was smiles, there was a light-hearted atmosphere, and I can only encourage others to do. But I want to say thank you to not only Khayelitsha Hospital, but all the vaccinators and administrators that do these things with love and care every day. And then finally, I just want to recognize and appreciate a commitment to action. Our partners here from the government, CIPLA Foundation, USAID, Project Last Mile, and so many more. You know, we can all stand here and make great speeches. Ultimately, it's about the action. It's not about grandstanding. It's about delivering where there's a need. It doesn't matter how small it is. That is what this day, for me, for our company, and I think for all of us, are about. So I thank you. Do your little bit of good where you are. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your care, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you to you and the rest of your team that's here today. Much appreciated. It's always good to work with mind-like corporates in making a difference where it's needed most. And to Project Last Mile as well, thank you for facilitating this whole relationship with Coca-Cola. It's my next honor to announce the CEO of CIPLA South Africa, Mr. Paul Miller.
So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to address you. As the CIPLA Foundation, we have for many years strived to make a difference in our communities. And the intention has always been that that impact should be sustainable, and also it should bring some social impact. I think today's event hopefully resonates and speaks to that. I think one thing that's really clear to all of us is that COVID has taught us one critical, important aspect of life, and that is we have to stay connected, and we have to also partner. We cannot do this alone. It's taken a lot of partners today to make this a reality, and everyone has played their part. I want to pick up on a very similar theme, I think, to what was mentioned earlier by Andre. It's a wonderful quote. It says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And I think it's a small beginning here today, but it's a partnership. And so I want to take some time just to really thank every one of the partners today for their role that they played. It's repetitious, we've done it all before, but I think it bears doing. So first of all, to the Western Cape Government, to the Premier, Mr. Alan Winde, I really want to thank you for your continued support and partnership that you found with the CIPLA Foundation. As you know, we've already developed nurse surgeries in this area, and it was done with your own department's recognition. We've also ensured that chronic care is distributed to all those that need it through the CDU or what we call CCMDD elsewhere in the country. I think also during the time of the Hout Bay fires, we came through with assistance, and the early part of the COVID pandemic, when we needed to have a quick response in the Grabo area, we were able to actually deploy very quickly a number of our units there as well. So today again, we find ourselves sitting here in partnership. So thank you very much for that. Mr. Will Stevens from the USAID, again, thank you very much for the partnership we've been enjoying And this goes back to the early days of fighting HIV in Africa for many, many decades. And so today we find ourselves again having a similar common agenda of caring for life and having an impact on all those around us. So thank you for that. And we look forward to working further with you. We also want to recognize much of the private sector, the corporate environment. We have also there the For South Africa business, as well as, I think, Coca-Cola, and I need to acknowledge them today as well, through Andre Klutter, for what they have done to support this. And also Project Last Mile, I think, has made a huge difference where it's needed the most. So thank you for that. Also, for those of you that are from the media, I really would encourage you as much as possible to make this as broad as possible. I think the importance of being vaccinated is so critical. And yet again, hopefully, this is providing dignity and access to healthcare to all those that are involved. So I just want to conclude on a last reflection, and I think the importance of what we're doing here today. One of the consequences of COVID-19 has been the deep levels of depression, anxiety, and suicide in this country. And we sponsor the SADAG hotline where people phone on a regular basis. And we've seen these numbers grow dramatically. And that's because COVID has driven us apart. It's isolated us. It's created a lot of fear and anxiety. And I'm hoping that as we start to get vaccination units like this are rolled out, more people get vaccinated, we can come back together as a society, we can reconnect, and hopefully wrap our arms around those that are struggling at this time, and once more be one society again. So thank you again for your partnership, and thank you for the ability for allowing us to reach out and make a difference in society, as we all have done today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for not just steering the CIPLA ship, but also being an active CIPLA trustee in the foundation. And he also keeps us energized, activated, and in line with everything we do at the foundation. Thank you for that, Paul. It's a great honor to announce the Premier of the Western Cape, Mr. Alan Windy, to the stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think, normally you're tempted to say all protocol observed, which is what we do in South Africa, but perhaps I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to say, first of all, to CEO Binza, thank you very much for enabling this at your great facility. I had the opportunity to also have a quick meeting with him and his team before this. Of course, I can't just come to a hospital and not find out what's going on here and what are your pressures and how are you feeling. And perhaps, Paul, that last point that you made around how societies, the mental health side at the moment is a big, big thing for us because you can feel it everywhere. And we have to also start thinking about what are those new things that we're going to be doing to take on this challenge which is now facing the world. But of course, it's also facing us right here. I would also like to then say, of course, to Andre, very good to see you. As you said, we worked in Mr. Kruger. We worked in different guys early on, but it's good to see you here in your new portfolio, and good to be here with you. I would also like to then, of course, say to Will, great partners with the US and has been for a long time. I mean, when you're standing here talking and I'm thinking about all of those things that have happened, linking through to the early days of fighting for HIV and AIDS and making sure that, we're getting the meds in and we are changing policy right from those early days to now this focus on TB. But then, of course, when you're speaking, I think about how you've helped us with safety and security and partnering with the city of Cape Town. And I mean, this list just grows longer and longer. So really a great partner. Coca-Cola, an amazing partner in this region. I mean, whether it's here today or whether it's a message that I get because another one of your trucks is taking water to some municipality who've just run dry. And you just step up every time. It's just amazing. Thank you very much. For being here, of course, all the USAID team, the Health Foundation, and of course CIPLA. And all of this talks to partners, and I think that's what everybody has said. Every person who's had the opportunity to stand here on this podium today has spoken about partnerships. And I mean, in our government, you'll see, we say better together, which is about how partners work together to create a better environment for whatever those challenges are that we are facing. For me, I think, Will, when you were talking about those ventilators, you said in May last year. It was just last year, but it feels like it was probably about 10 years ago, because the last year has been such a pressure year for all of us, in whichever guise you're in. Just Joe Citizen waking up in the morning trying to lead your normal life is just not been possible. You've lost your job, you've lost your loved ones, you've had endless pressure, right to policymakers, to CEOs of companies. It doesn't matter who you are, the pressure is on us, has been on every one of us in the last year and a half. But the one thing that stood out for me, beyond the collaboration, beyond the partners, you know, those partners, those ladies in your street who today, a year and a half later, are making soup for people who can't afford to put food on the table in their street. Those people are still doing it today. But over and above those partners and how community and society came together, what stood out for me was the innovation that came out in the last while. And you know, I'm just going to mention a few things just in the health space, the innovation that happened in the health space. I mean, we used to, at our health facilities, have people queuing from 4 o'clock in the morning to get their meds. That's just what happened. You needed to get your meds, you would go at 4 o'clock in the morning and start queuing outside a health facility. Well, during the middle of a pandemic, the health team suddenly said, but hang on a second, who is queuing outside in these queues, not social distancing and spending time together in crowded areas? It's the elderly and the people with comorbidities and the people that are highly at risk. And so a partnership developed. And between our health team and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and between Uber and between our NGOs on the ground, innovation happened. And we said, this is a massive risk. What are we going to do about it? Well, what would happen is the department knows who their customers are. They'd pack the meds. The meds would be collected by Uber, would be dropped off at the local community NGO. And someone in the NGO would walk to your door, knock on your door, and say, and do a quick screening to see whether you had a temperature or any risk ailments or anything that would maybe need to be checked out, and give you your meds. And so now suddenly this innovation happened. Poor people who queued after traveling in public transport and whatever else they had to do to get their meds were suddenly having their meds delivered to their door. The most amazing innovation. And we probably we're probably sitting somewhere now with about 1.3 million people receiving their meds or have received their meds via this delivery system. It's still playing out, but we developed a partnership with the taxi industry. At the moment, it's a little bit fractious. But hopefully, what we started then with a funding mechanism. The minibus taxi industry is the one public transport space in our country that has got no subsidy. Subsidy happens in your train system, and subsidy happens in your bus system, but in your taxi system, there's no subsidy. In actual fact, government and the taxi guys are always at loggerheads. We're always fighting with each other. And we found a way that we had to get our healthcare workers to our healthcare sites safely during the middle of COVID. So we partnered with the taxi industry, and they were picking up on an app basis healthcare workers and delivering them to site and collecting them again and taking them home. So they didn't have to be sitting in public transport. You didn't want to put your citizens with a healthcare worker who spent the whole day in a COVID-19 ward who's already at risk, and now you want to go use a public transport system. Well, hopefully that set the foundation for us for finding a resolution to the taxi industry struggle that we're having at the moment. But not just a resolution as we do every year or every 3 years. It's about how do we find a full, lasting resolution. If that works, that's an innovation that also comes out of COVID-19 and the pandemic and trying to find solutions. And I can go on to a whole lot more. We built the CTICC in 6 weeks. Government can never work that fast. But suddenly we managed to work that fast, and it's great because every time something comes along my desk and I say to him, but hang on a second, we did that in 6 weeks. Why can't we do this now in 6 weeks? Let's rethink how we deliver government. To voucher systems for soup kitchens, who we'd send them a voucher on a social media platform that go to the local spaza shop to redeem the voucher so that they could actually provide that soup in that street to those people who really needed it. And suddenly we were using tech, innovation, and we were delivering economic activity to a local shopkeeper at the same time as providing that much needed nutrition to citizens who needed it. And so I've got a whole list of these things in innovation, but that's really what stood out. And it's because we've all come together and said, well, we have to find solutions for these problems. And today we stand here again, where we're coming together as partners to find solutions for our planet, for all of our people. And definitely one of those solutions, let me feel if I can still feel it, is a little bit of a pain in your arm. I must say that I didn't feel anything. I couldn't even feel the needle. I believe they chose the best nurse they could find, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But what I do know, and it's been said here before, and it's been said to me so often, that in this time of vaccinations, what has really stood out for citizens is care. How our frontline health workers care. You don't feel, you might be afraid of needles, you might be coming to a congested space to come and get your vaccine that's going to put you into a different space and reduce your risk of this dreaded virus, and we've lost so many people, and just how our frontline workers just care so much when you arrive. And it doesn't matter where you go in this province to go to get your vaccine. You get the same care, the same treatment. It's universal, and it is absolutely amazing. And I must use this platform to say to our healthcare workers, thank you so much, not for what you're just doing in the vaccine program, but what you have really done in the last year and a half here. I mean, you've stepped up way, way beyond to make sure that our citizens are cared for. You are amazing. And then perhaps going past that to just maybe saying one or two things about the vaccines. I must really say, Will, to the US, once again, thank you very much. That extra donation is just taking us to that next level. When we first set out our plan for vaccines, and I haven't checked of late in the last week or so, but a week and a half ago, the Western Cape still had more vaccine sites than any other province in South Africa. We put a network together to make sure that as quickly as possible, we could reach that herd immunity level, which is so critical so that we can actually claw back those jobs. We can start to rebuild. It is critical that we get to that point. And unfortunately, I'm not going to go into the detail, but we've had these hiccups along the way for various reasons. And of course, I've looked at the original supply numbers and where we are right now, and we need more. And thank you so much, because there's a whole lot more that have just arrived this weekend and again this week that are going to take us back to levels that we were supposed to be at in making sure that we're rolling out these vaccines in an efficient, effective way. I'm really also glad that those age groups started moving down the list down the sort of time stratosphere much quicker. So it's not going to be long until an 18-year-old can actually go and stand in that queue as well, especially all of those that are sending me notes of how many comorbidities you've got. Go and get in that queue as soon as it opens. And it really is also perhaps not only a message to the 18-year-old, but it's also to the 80-year-old, the 60-year-old, the 50-year-old, and especially the 50-year-olds, because I'm in that group, the 50 to 59. Guys, you're letting them on the side because the 35s and above are out registering you like anything. Come on, we've got to get going. We've got to get our names onto those lists, get into these stations, and get these jabs in our arms. We get that right, we move on to the next level. So with that, once again, it is so amazing to be here with partners that care and partners that make a difference. And so thank you from my side, from the government side, to all of you for doing what you do to make sure that this partnership really does work and makes the biggest difference it can for our citizens, all of our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alan. We value your time here today, but more so I think we value your passion and your vigor for fighting for everybody in the Western Cape on a daily basis. And we watch you eagerly on a daily basis on all the media. And thank you for being so active and energetic, albeit that 50 to 59 bracket. You are a good example. Okay. All right, so that brings us to the end of our formal proceedings. I would like to ask that all the speakers just quickly gather in the front here for a picture just in front of the banner. And then I'm going to ask the dignitaries and the media to just go towards the site for a site visit. The one walk-through area will be open and you'll be navigated through that with the local crowd. And the rest of the guests, if I can ask you just to hang back for 10 or 15 minutes so we can just observe COVID protocols. And then we'd be welcome to receive you on the other side to show you this little baby on the other side of the fence. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you.